Room 314 became my second home for 8 months. Every day I talked to her, played her favorite music, and fought for her care when others wanted to pull the plug. But Maya wasn't just listening. She was planning something that would leave the entire hospital speechless. My name is Zara Williams, and I've been a registered nurse at Metropolitan General Hospital for 12 years. I thought I'd seen everything until I met Maya Johnson. It was a cold February morning when the ambulance brought her in. 28 years old, mother of twin 5-year-old girls, Maya had suffered a massive brain aneurysm while making breakfast for her daughters. The paramedics had performed CPR for 17 minutes before getting a pulse back. Dr. Harrison, the attending neurologist, delivered the devastating news to Maya's family with clinical detachment. The damage is extensive. Even if she survives, the likelihood of meaningful recovery is virtually zero. We're talking about basic life support at this point. Maya's mother, Dorothy, collapsed into her husband's arms. Her husband, Marcus, stood frozen, clutching a photo of Maya with their twins. "But she's so young," he whispered. "There has to be something." Dr. Harrison shook his head. "I'm sorry. We'll keep her comfortable, but you should prepare yourselves." I watched this scene unfold from the nurse's station, feeling that familiar ache in my chest. After 12 years, you'd think I'd become numb to these moments. But something about Maya's case felt different. Maybe it was seeing those twin girls in the waiting room, asking their grandmother when Mommy was coming home. As Maya's assigned nurse, I wheeled her bed to room 314. The machines beeped steadily: ventilator, heart monitor, IV pumps. Maya lay motionless, her dark skin ashen, her braided hair spread across the white pillow like a crown. "Hello, Maya," I said softly, adjusting her blankets. "I'm Zara. I'm going to be taking care of you." Her eyes remained closed, no response to my voice. According to her chart, she was in a grade 4 coma, the deepest level. But as I looked at her peaceful face, I made a decision that would define the next 8 months of both our lives. "I know you can't hear me," I continued, "but I'm not giving up on you. Your girls need their mama." The first week established a pattern that would continue for months. While other nurses focused on basic care, medication schedules, turning to prevent bed sores, checking vitals, I began talking to Maya as if she could hear every word. "Your daughters came by yesterday," I told her while adjusting her IV. "Lily drew you a picture of a rainbow, and Luna wrote, 'Get well, Mommy,' in purple crayon. They're staying with your mother, and Marcus visits every evening after work." Dr. Harrison noticed my approach during rounds. "Nurse Williams, you don't need to provide commentary. She can't process auditory input." "I understand, doctor," I replied respectfully, "but it doesn't hurt to try." He frowned but said nothing more. However, I noticed him watching me more closely during subsequent visits. The whispers started among the staff almost immediately. "Zara's getting too attached again," I heard Nurse Patricia tell Dr. Chen. "Remember what happened with the Johnston case?" They were referring to an elderly patient I'd grown close to 3 years earlier. When he passed, despite my extra attention, I'd taken it hard. Too hard, according to administration. I'd been counselled about maintaining professional boundaries. But this felt different. When I looked at Maya, I didn't just see a patient. I saw a young mother who deserved every chance to fight back to her children. During my lunch break, I researched coma patients online. I found studies about music therapy, familiar voices, and environmental stimulation. Most were inconclusive, but some showed promise. That afternoon, I brought my small Bluetooth speaker to work. Maya, I asked your husband about your favorite music, I said, scrolling through my phone. He said you loved Alicia Keys and John Legend. Let's start there. As ordinary people filled the room, I watched Maya's monitors. No change in heart rate, brain activity, or breathing patterns. But something in my gut told me to continue. By March, my routine with Maya had become legendary in the hospital, and not in a good way. I arrived 30 minutes early each shift to spend extra time with her. I brought new music weekly, ranging from her favorites to classical pieces I'd read might stimulate neural pathways. The girls started kindergarten, I told her while changing her bedding. Marcus said they're both reading above grade level. Lily wants to be a teacher like you were, and Luna says she wants to be a nurse. Wonder where she got that idea. Maya had been an elementary school teacher before having the twins. Her classroom photos showed a woman full of life and laughter, surrounded by adoring students. The pushback intensified when I requested permission to bring in some of Maya's personal items. "Absolutely not," said charge nurse Henderson. "This isn't a hotel room, Williams. We have protocols." "Studies show familiar objects can trigger memory responses," I argued. "What's the harm in her favorite blanket or a photo of her children?" "The harm is setting unrealistic expectations for the family." Dr. Harrison has been clear about her prognosis. But Maya's family was grateful for my efforts. Dorothy would often find me during visiting hours, tears in her eyes. "Thank you for treating her like she's still here," she'd whisper. "Everyone else looks at her like she's already gone." Marcus was more conflicted. "I appreciate everything you're doing, Nurse Williams," he said one evening. "But sometimes I wonder if we're just prolonging the inevitable. The bills are mounting, and the girls keep asking when Mummy's coming home." "Don't give up," I urged him. "Recovery can take time. Much longer than anyone expects." But privately, I was beginning to doubt myself. 2 months of constant stimulation, and Maya showed no signs of improvement. Her EEGs remained flat. Her reflexes were absent. Even her family was starting to discuss end-of-life decisions. April brought a crisis that nearly ended everything. During the monthly care review, Dr. Harrison presented Maya's case to the ethics committee. Patient has shown no signs of improvement after 8 weeks. Brain scans indicate extensive damage with no potential for recovery. The family is facing significant financial hardship, and continuing aggressive care may not be in anyone's best interest. I requested permission to address the committee, an unusual move for a nurse. "Maya Johnson is 28 years old," I began, my voice steady despite my racing heart. "Her daughters need their mother." "Yes, her condition is severe, but we've seen patients wake up after months, even years." Committee Chair Dr. Martinez looked skeptical. "Nurse Williams, what's your medical justification for continuing intensive care?" "Hope," I said simply. "Hope backed by consistent quality care and family support." The room fell silent. Dr. Harrison cleared his throat. "With respect, hope isn't a treatment plan." "Neither is giving up," I replied. The committee voted to continue care for another month, but with reduced intensity. No more experimental approaches, no more extras beyond basic medical needs. That night, I sat with Maya after my shift ended. "I know you're in there," I whispered. "I don't know how I know, but I do. Give me a sign. Anything." The monitors beeped steadily. Maya's chest rose and fell with the ventilator's rhythm. No response. For the first time in months, I wondered if everyone else was right. May and June tested my resolve like never before. The administration had assigned me to other units 3 days a week, limiting my time with Maya. When I was in the neurological wing, my colleagues treated me with a mixture of pity and frustration. "You're burning yourself out," warned Dr. Chen, one of the few physicians who still spoke to me with kindness. "This isn't healthy, Zara." "What if it were your daughter?" I asked. She sighed. "That's exactly why we maintain professional distance. We can't save everyone, but I couldn't let go. During my breaks, I'd sneak into room 314. Maya looked smaller somehow, her muscle mass decreasing despite physical therapy. Her beautiful braids had been replaced with a shorter, more manageable style. "The girls had their school play," I told her one afternoon. "Lily played a tree and Luna was a butterfly." Marcus recorded it on his phone. "Your mother cried through the whole thing." I paused, watching her peaceful face. "They're starting to forget your voice, Maya." Luna asked Marcus yesterday if you were ever coming home. That was the day I almost broke. Sitting in the hospital chapel after my shift, I questioned everything. Was I really helping Maya, or was I selfishly prolonging suffering for everyone involved? My phone buzzed. A text from my own mother. "Saw your interview request was denied again. Honey, maybe it's time to transfer units." The hospital administration had blocked my third request to present Maya's case to a specialist at Johns Hopkins. Too expensive, they said, not medically justified. July brought an unexpected ally. Dr. Amanda Foster, a young neurology resident, rotated into our unit. Unlike the established physicians, she listened to my observations with genuine interest. "You've been with her every day for 5 months?" Dr. Foster asked, reviewing Maya's chart. "Almost every day," I confirmed. "I've documented everything: response to music, family visits, environmental changes." She flipped through my unofficial notes, pages of observations that weren't part of the official medical record. "This is remarkably detailed. Have you noticed any patterns?" "Her heart rate sometimes increases when her daughters visit," I said carefully. "And last week I thought I saw her eyebrows furrow when Marcus was talking about selling their house." Dr. Foster didn't dismiss me immediately. Instead, she scheduled additional tests, newer imaging techniques that might detect subtle brain activity. The results were inconclusive, but not hopeless. "There's more activity in the temporal lobe than we expected," she explained to Maya's family. "It's possible she's processing more than we realized." For the first time in months, I felt vindicated. Marcus squeezed my hand after the meeting. "Thank you for never giving up," he said. But Dr. Harrison wasn't convinced. "Dr. Foster, you're giving false hope based on minimal findings. This patient has been in a vegetative state for 6 months." "Minimally conscious state," Dr. Foster corrected firmly. "There's a difference." The distinction mattered. Minimally conscious patients had some awareness, some possibility of improvement. It wasn't much, but it was enough to continue fighting. August arrived with new challenges. Maya developed pneumonia, a common complication for long-term ventilator patients. Her condition became critical. "This might be nature's way of telling us it's time," Dr. Harrison told the family gently. "We can treat the pneumonia aggressively, but her body is weakening." Dorothy sobbed openly. Marcus stood silent, his face etched with exhaustion and grief. The twins hadn't visited in weeks, too difficult to explain why Mommy couldn't wake up. I worked double shifts, monitoring Maya's condition obsessively. The pneumonia responded to antibiotics, but slowly. Each day was a battle. During one particularly difficult night, when Maya's oxygen levels dropped dangerously low, I found myself praying for the first time in years. "Please," I whispered, adjusting her oxygen mask. If you're going to take her, let her see her babies one more time. Let her say goodbye. The monitors stabilized around 3 a.m. Maya's breathing improved. By morning, the worst had passed. Dr. Foster found me in the break room, emotionally drained. "You saved her life last night," she said quietly. "The antibiotics saved her life," I corrected. "No, Zara. Your vigilance, your refusal to give up. That's what made the difference." September 15th, day 228. I'll never forget that date. I arrived for my morning shift to find Maya's room in chaos. Dr. Foster was poring over test results, her eyes wide with disbelief. Dr. Harrison stood frozen by Maya's bedside. "What's happening?" I asked, my heart racing. Dr. Foster looked up, her voice barely above a whisper. "She moved." "What do you mean, moved?" "Last night around 2 a.m. The night nurse documented it, but everyone thought it was a muscle spasm. But look at this EEG from this morning." The brainwave patterns showed activity I'd never seen in Maya's charts. Actual conscious brain activity. As we watched, Maya's eyelids fluttered, then slowly, impossibly, they opened. Her eyes were unfocused at first, moving randomly around the room. Then they found me, and I saw recognition. Actual conscious recognition. "Maya," I whispered, moving closer to her bed. Her lips moved slightly around the ventilator tube. No sound, but I could read the word. "Zara." The room erupted. Dr. Harrison called for immediate tests. Dr. Foster was already planning to reduce sedation and assess her neurological function. Nurses flooded in to witness what everyone had thought impossible. But I only had eyes for Maya, who was trying to communicate something urgent. Over the next hour, as tests were run and family members rushed to the hospital, Maya fought to stay conscious. The medical team worked to safely remove the ventilator, a process that took hours. When she could finally speak, her first words weren't what anyone expected. "The music," she whispered, her voice hoarse from months of intubation. "I heard every song." Marcus burst into tears. Dorothy collapsed in her chair. The twins, who'd been brought to the hospital, stared in amazement at their mother's open eyes. But Maya wasn't finished. Looking directly at me, she said something that would change everything. "I heard everything, Zara. Every word, every story, every day for 8 months. What we discovered over the following days revolutionized our understanding of consciousness and coma recovery." Maya hadn't just been aware, she'd been actively processing information, forming memories, and even attempting to respond. The breakthrough came when Dr. Foster showed her advanced brain imaging techniques that detected micro-movements Maya had been making in response to stimuli. "She was trying to communicate the entire time," Dr. Foster explained to the assembled medical team. "But the movements were so subtle, lasting microseconds, that our standard monitoring missed them." Maya's recovery was remarkable but gradual. The physical therapy to rebuild muscle strength, the speech therapy to strengthen her voice, the psychological support to process 8 months of conscious paralysis. During her first real conversation, Maya revealed something that stunned everyone. "I was planning," she said, her voice growing stronger each day. "Every story Zara told me about the girls, every song, every touch, I was storing it all up. I knew I'd wake up eventually, and I wanted to remember everything I'd missed." The medical implications were staggering. Maya's case would be studied for years, leading to new protocols for coma patients and raising questions about consciousness we'd never considered. But the personal impact was even greater. You never gave up on me, Maya told me one afternoon as she sat up in bed for the first time. When everyone else saw a hopeless case, you saw a mother who needed to get home to her children. Maya's story spread throughout the medical community and beyond. Dr. Foster published papers on her case, changing how hospitals approached long-term coma patients. The Williams Protocol focused personalized care for seemingly unresponsive patients was implemented in neurological units across the country. But for me, the greatest reward was watching Maya return home to her daughters 3 months later. I visited her house on a Saturday afternoon, finding her in her backyard, teaching Luna and Lily how to plant tomatoes. She moved slowly, still rebuilding her strength, but her laughter was pure joy. "Aunt Zara," the twins called, running to hug me. They'd started calling me that during Maya's recovery. "Thank you," Maya said simply, her eyes bright with tears, "for seeing me when no one else could." The ripple effects continued. Other families began requesting extended care for loved ones in comas. Hospital policies changed to allow more personalized approaches. Most importantly, the story inspired other nurses to trust their instincts, even when medical protocol suggested otherwise. 6 months after Maya woke up, I received an unexpected honor. The American Nurses Association presented me with the Extraordinary Compassion Award, citing my unwavering dedication to patient care in the face of institutional resistance. But the real validation came in a letter from Maya, now back to teaching. "Dear Zara, today Luna told her class that nurses are superheroes who never give up. She's not wrong. You didn't just save my life, you saved our family. You proved that healing is about more than medicine. It's about hope, faith, and refusing to let go when everyone else already has. Room 314 will always be where miracles happen because that's where you decided I was worth fighting for. Today, 2 years later, I still work at Metropolitan General. Room 314 has a small plaque now, in honor of Maya Johnson and all patients who fight silent battles." I think about those 8 months often, the doubt, the resistance, the moments when I almost gave up. What if I had listened to the protocols? What if I had maintained professional distance? Maya wouldn't be reading bedtime stories to her daughters. She wouldn't be teaching second graders to read. She wouldn't be living proof that sometimes the most important medical intervention is simply refusing to stop caring. The twins are 7 now, thriving in school and full of life. Luna still says she wants to be a nurse when she grows up. "Like Aunt Zara," she explains to anyone who will listen, nurses wake people up. As I tell this story, I want every healthcare worker to remember, behind every patient is a human being with dreams, family, and the capacity to surprise us all. Sometimes the greatest medical miracle isn't a new drug or procedure. It's a nurse who decides that giving up isn't an option. Room 314 taught me that healing happens in the spaces between heartbeats, in the words we speak to unhearing ears, in the faith we maintain when all evidence suggests hope is lost. Sometimes love really is the best medicine, and sometimes refusing to give up is the most radical act of healing we can perform. Maya is living proof that miracles don't always announce themselves with fanfare. Sometimes they whisper their truth in the silence of a hospital room, waiting for someone brave enough to listen.